Okay, I need to find something in this internet here on this laptop that's going to make me hate Rangers. I mean, I'm angry. I mean, we're all angry. We're all disappointed. But I need to find something that's going to wind me up to the point where I hate Rangers. I talk like a Celtic fan, basically. I hate Rangers team. I hate Rangers badge. Just hate the sight of Rangers players. That seems to be how you drive traffic to your Rangers podcast. That's how you get the likes. That's how I can finally make a living at this podcasting game, because that's what we're all in it to try and make a living. You see some of the figures folk get on YouTube. That's good. But yeah, I need to make sure. Wikipedia, BBC, it's gonna be one of these tabs. But I've got to make sure I just give a bit of love back to the Gersnet community. The folk have got me through so many bad times with Rangers. They're absolutely brilliant, and they deserve a bit of positivity, a bit of I can't find that. Doodaloo. We used to go out walking hand in hand. You'd talk of all the big things you had planned. Winning the UEFA Champions League. To ease your Scottish silverware fatigue. You had no time for 9 or 10 in a row. You knew where all those Scottish cups could go. And League Cups, you told me, counted for naught. You only wanted everything and cheaply bought. EBTs, am I not your girl? Am I not your... Stop what you're doing. How you doing, folks? This is your Gersnet immediate post-match reaction pod, coming to you in association with Forest Precision Engineering and Football Prizes. My name's Alec Anderson, and it's my sombre task, my kind of unfortunate duty to have to tell you that Rangers have done it yet again. They've let us down yet again. You knew they were going to, I knew they were going to. They do it all the time. But yet they have yet again failed to win all their post-split fixtures. Decades now this has been going on for. Rangers cannot win all 5 of their final league games in a top flight season, and it's really starting to get to me. There could be a further price to pay this season. I think we might not actually win the treble this season. We could have put the league in doubt today when we lost Celtic. I think Celtic was it, they beat us 2-1. But yeah, that's Rangers going down by 2-1 at Parkhead of all places to Celtic of all teams in the 12:30 live on Sky lunchtime, top of the table, winner takes all, rematch of the Boyne, re-examination of the Plantation of Ireland, pay-per-view, pettiness between two guys called Chris. League decider, basically Celtic now 6 points clear with 2 games to go. Although if the same result happens, or this thing that we knew it was going to happen, if it happens once, it's definitely going to happen again. Definitely bore fruit today. That's definitely what's happened here. But if Celtic are just 1 goal better than us all the time, and then they beat Dundee 7-1 at Parkhead, and we beat Dundee 5-0 at Dens. I know that was the first time we played them at Dens. But if we played them at Dundee at Ibrox on Tuesday, we should beat them 6-1. And then Kilmarnock always beat Celtic at Rugby Park, so they just need to lose by a single goal. And that'll be on Wednesday night, that'll be the goal difference wiped out. There'll only be 3 points in it going into the final fixtures. And the Jambo's always like down to us. That happens all the time. We always beat Hearts. And St Mirren have got a fantastic record at Parkhead. There's one team Celtic don't want to be coming to Parkhead when they've got an important game to win. It's St Mirren. So yeah, this could be funny. This could actually end up being a real laugh the way we win this league. And if you don't laugh, you'll cry. A lot of mental health awareness going on. I mean, the internet, social media is Hitler. It's a new Hitler. It's just divisive. Just wants to split everybody into various groups, factions at each other's throat all the time. And but one thing, it's like, Hitler made the trains run on time, didn't he? We know where he made them run to, but he made the trains run on time. And there has been some good stuff on this here social media today. Elon Musk's Twitter, we'll call it that because Elon Musk is so venal. He's like, Junkers and all these different, Hugo Boss, the people that made money. Hitler, he's totally evil. So we're not going to call it X. It's Twitter. And there was someone up there today, Frankie, the boss of Gersnet. He reposted the fellow, the Wolverhampton Wanderers guy, He's at Molyneux, outside Molyneux, and he's got the wolf scarf on his eyes. He ties it on his eyes, and he's holding a placard that says, "If you need a hug, just come up and give me a hug. If you need to talk about something, get something off your chest, just come up and talk to me." It's about anonymity. Like, we don't need to see, you just need to hear each other. That's the point being made. They're really powerful stuff. And the Rangers need to go to Wolverhampton Town again, perhaps. We need a hug. We need to talk about stuff. And I need to apologise for me, the hypocrisy. This is social media I'm on just now. You wouldn't know anything about this pod if it wasn't for me being all over Twitter. It's just the whole thing's powered by social media. The medium is the message. This is what's spreading it. But I always hated that group of people. I always thought they were really, but you didn't really act on it. You didn't really get into a fight with them beforehand. It's Marshall McLuhan. This is what's causing it, and yet there I am all over it. And today I am slagging Rangers fans for slagging Rangers, and that's you saw the Richarlison thing on Sky Sports as well. He's really bravely sharing what he's been through with his mental health, and I'm somebody who's never been diagnosed with depression. I don't think I've suffered with depression, but look at the state of me. I'm obviously self-medicating with sausage rolls and crap lager. One biscuit away from a heart attack, as we always say, and as I always say, Rangers football, that is I think it's the bottom end of Scotland's addictions, but it's definitely an addiction. It's unhealthy the way we feel about football in this country. It's pretty unhealthy in most countries. But I think we're particularly bad in Scotland. We're sending a team to the Euros this summer, trying to win their, trying to get their way into the second round of a competition, a major finals, for the first time in Scotland's history, which is absolutely humiliating when you consider that we are the second oldest football nation in the world, that we invented passing, but more when you consider the amount of time, energy that is put into football in this country. It is. That's why Scottish governments are all over it. Holyrood is all over it because our Boot House is all over it because it's the greatest. It's just the most straightforward way of getting the attention of the masses, of the hoi polloi or whatever as well. It's just. We'll do something about football. Get involved with Rangers and Celtic. Get involved with the Old Firm. Have your say on that, and you'll definitely get half the country on your side, or the other half so virulently against you that they'll, radicalise everybody else and it's supporting you. That's how the social media thing works. And I have done it myself today. I do apologise, I'm not sorry, but having a go at Rangers fans for having a go at Rangers. But that's my way of venting the anger, and we have to vent the anger. You want to have a go at Rangers, you want to tell us the same old faces, the same old players letting us down. I can't really argue that the day after what Tav and Lundstrom got up to that second goal, and what Lunny got up to before half time. It's your way of getting out of your system. Do it. Just go for it. You need to. It's good to talk, get angry, vent. I've been venting against Rangers fans, which is, I don't know. I'd rather do that than hate my team. But if my club are the people who support it, then I'm actually more out of order than you guys. So have at it. And John Lundstrom, terrible day. I just feel as if the abuse he's getting is too much. But maybe he's known that, going into that game today. He's been watching social media himself. I don't know. But David Martindale, the Livingston manager, having a bad season himself. But he infamously did some serious time in jail. And I remember seeing an interview with him when he talked about there's guys inside that are there because of Rangers and Celtic. And it's not because of Rangers and Celtic, it's because that's been the final straw for them. But they've stabbed folk, they've involved a bit of manslaughter because they've got into a fight, because their teams get beat. And those folk will kill themselves in jail. Martindale's talking about this because Rangers lose or Celtic lose, and that's the last straw for them. It's the last bit of hope they've got. People will kill themselves because of this game in regular life. Outside of jail, people are offing themselves in record numbers in this country, all over Britain, in Scotland as well. We've got a terrible record at everything. We're sending our team to the Euros, but the only league that we're top of internationally has always been, in Western Europe anyway, in the developed Western Europe, as they say, it's cancer rates, heart attack rates, stroke rates. That's what I'm heading for. I lost my mate a few years ago. He was a month after his 50th birthday. He did Monroes and surfing and all that, but that's, it's cancer. It's Scotland. Folk get cancer all over the world, but we seem to be particularly bad for it. Alcoholism, I make my contribution to that. It really is a massive problem. It's a way of life in Scotland. The smoking, folks smoking themselves to death. That's maybe cutting down a bit. But the heroin, almost a subclass have been reduced to people who just ended up the heroin, what it did to Scotland, what it did. You walk about the streets, you walk about Glasgow, and you'll see people just devastated by it on their way out. But probably, they'll be committing all sorts of crime to feed their habits and things like that. It's an epidemic here. It's knife crime. The folks, I think Paisley used to be like stab capital of Europe, per capita, and it's all per capita because Scotland's only got a population of 5 million folk, and yet it has set every European crowd record you could think of in football, except for league attendance. That was Benfica at home to Porto in 1987. But European attendance, 127,621, 18th of May 1960, the famous 7-3 game between Real Madrid and some German team. That's the biggest crowd ever for a European final. And in a continent that's got Manchester United, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, biggest crowd ever comes at Hampden. And there's a bigger crowd for Celtic against Leeds United in a League Cup semi-final. Celtic moved from Parkhead to Hampden in 1970. It's 134,000 or something like that. Scotland's it's got a population of 5 million. Why? Why are we getting these massive crowds? I mean, the clubs do okay in Europe. We've represented quite well in Europe. 10 European finalists. Rangers doing it 5 times. 10 times we've reached European finals. But Rangers in 5 of those European finals for Scotland. Celtic haven't won the European Cup. It's just, we really represent well through the club side sometimes, but not as well as we could, considering it's just all consuming in this country. It's not the size of the man in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the man. Look at Uruguay, 2 World Cups and more Copa Americas than Argentina and Brazil combined up until really recently. They've won 2 World Cups. They've been in the semi-finals. 2 others, maybe 3 others. I don't know off the top of my head, but 3 million, population of 3 million. Look at New Zealand. Look at the All Blacks with the rugby. It's, if you want it that badly, and in Scotland, it's all we talk about. Why is it so negative? Why is it so bad? Why is it so toxic? It's because Rangers haven't won the day, and it looks like we've chucked the league away, and we've lost to Celtic again, so we feel like shit. But get it out of your system, whatever way you've got to. I've been there. I did survive being a young man. And it's brutal in Scotland. It's absolutely horrible. Jesus. I would hate to go back there. I survived physically, just, walking the streets of Ardrossan, over 5'5" and looking like you might break into a smile. You're just asking to get slashed. I've been glassed. That was in Glasgow. Had a knife pulled on me. That was Ardrossan. Fights, Sockets, Ardrossan, Stevenson, everywhere. The 3 Towns, Glasgow. I think it's 30. I remember my last kind of incident in the street. There's a guy murdered outside my house in the leafy West End of Glasgow, at a flat I had just after I was 30, kind of early 30s. It's just that Scottish life. It's life in any kind of city, I suppose. It's life in any industrialised area, but the football seems to be the bottom end of addictions here. This isn't us. This isn't the MLS. This isn't MLS. So it's Major League Soccer. It's not the Major League Soccer. People wrongly apply the definite article. I'm wasting time until the Celtic fans switch off. That's like 13 minutes of the pod. But what I say stands. What I say stands. I really mean it. I remember Ali McCoist crying when we drew with CSKA Moscow at the end of that game, and we weren't going to go to the Champions League final. The damage had been done, over in Bruges or whatever, or maybe when we didn't beat Marseille in Marseille, the penultimate game in that group. But we'd got really close to getting to our first ever European Cup final, and Ali's crying after it, and I'm just shouting at it. I wasn't at that game because I'd realised what my problems were, what my anger issues were when I was younger. I realised a lot of it was my family, and I was trying to do something about it. I was just starting on the road to do something about that. I had to save up money to get myself to a bit further education, let's say. And but I hadn't started that process yet, and I remember I just shouting at the telly, "I greet now, McCoist. You can greet now, McCoist. Date during the game." And I'm still the same in terms of when the team gets beat, I'm not into greet, I'm not into feeling sorry for yourself. It's when we win though, we win big. I've really unhealthily got it all backed up, so then I get the release. I'm quite happy to sob like a Wayne in front of anybody. If Rangers win big, it has to come out, and it comes out. I want it to come out in that kind of constructive way. But when I was younger, it was terrible. My dad, who's not really a Rangers supporter, has got sympathies in that. But he's, what are you doing shouting at McCoy? What's the problem there? He's European Golden Boot and stuff like that. The guy's done, and now Alan McCoy is one of the greatest figures. I mean, it's like Willie Waddle, really. Level of what he's done for the club in terrible times, and that's when I judge people. It's no Gascoigne, Laudrup, they were legendary players with legendary skills and they had legendary periods at Rangers, but they weren't Rangers legends. I will friend you, if I may, in the dark and cloudy day. I just, it's people. At 9 years, I grew up watching Rangers when they didn't win the league between the treble in '78 and Souness arriving. We'd won once at Parkhead in 9 years. Davy Cooper. That's why Davy Cooper's a legend for me. The skills and it was amazing to watch and what have you. But he wasn't gone anywhere else at a time that we were struggling. And Cooper gets slagged rotten. Cooper gets slagged absolutely rotten in that period. You're stupid, but getting sent off a couple of times and things for losing his temper and having quiet games every now and then and letting us down because he was the only guy with the skills that could do the business and stuff like that. That's, you wouldn't want to dare say in the febrile atmosphere of Rangers Twitter today, or Rangers social media, that I see Tav in the same light. How dare you compare him to David Cooper? That's insulting that man's legacy, like insulting his memory. Don't fucking insult me by telling me I don't know a Rangers legend. You can have your tourists who drop in for a few years when everything's going absolutely fantastic and even let us down in terms of Europe, which is why they were brought in. But they banged in a few against Celtic now and were great players. That's fantastic. But see, when we're struggling, like as in life, somebody who backs you up when you're no slim and beautiful as I used to be. That's pals. That's somebody you can trust. That's a legend to me. But yeah, what the fuck am I talking about? I don't know. It's been a terrible day. Everybody's angry in their own way. I understand. That's what I was talking about. Understand why people get angry, especially younger guys, and I know why they're lashing out at players. I've done it myself, so it's total hypocrisy for me to slag other people for doing the same thing. Let's talk about the game, because that's a much happier subject. I better get to the point. We 3 major selection headlines, but only 2 of them are actual changes from the team that played against Kilmarnock. Borna Barisic stayed. He started again at left back. That's because Dujon Sterling has to get played wide on the right. He has to get played because we don't have Matondo, we don't have Sima, we don't have wingers. Ross McCausland isn't fit enough, the manager doesn't trust him enough, he's just too young, maybe, whatever. But Dujon Sterling's a lot younger, so there's no excuse for it. McCausland's old enough, but whatever, we need to get Dujon Sterling playing out wide, and so Borna retains his place at left back. We then have Ben Davies coming in at centre half, and he came on for that half against Kilmarnock last week. He scored as well, but that's only 45 minutes of football he's had in something like 6 months. First team football, and there he is starting at Parkhead today, and that would get worse, that situation, because Connor Golson is obviously unfit, and Liam Balogun got himself injured last week against Kilmarnock and didn't make the squad at all today. We had Tom Lawrence coming in at 10 instead of Todd Cantwell. Okay, Todd Cantwell, it's touch and go between the two of them. I think Cantwell probably fitter, maybe more of a threat, but he's becoming, it's just petulance now. It's no edgy or a bit pushy, that bit of character that you need about the dressing room. I think Clermont's been trying to crush him since day one. Also trying to make him a better player, a better team player. Public substitutions in the first half and taking them off at half time at Hampden and replacing him with Scott Wright, who then comes on and plays brilliant the way Ross McCausland come on and played brilliant instead of him when he came on for that game against Aris Limassol. But Cantwell's in the huff and he's getting subbed off, and then he's making little proclamations on social media, that the Hitler that is social media, about being a bird trapped in a cage. Football is about being trapped, Todd. See the white lines around the park, you can't go out of them. It's about what you can do in a confined space under the strictures of the referee and the rules he applies. It's all about what you can do within the cage that is a football pitch. It's like, I'm not saying like if you write a bad poem, it's no because it's no iambic pentameter and 3 quatrains and a rhyming couplet and a volta, and it's an A B C D C D E F G G rhyme scheme. I'm not saying I'm looking for a Shakespearean sonnet, but if there's one of these folk you're trying to tell me it's free verse. It's no free verse. It's just crap. Okay, you couldn't be bothered giving it any structure, and I think Cantwell's getting to the same situation. Tom Lawrence is not as fit as him. Tom Lawrence isn't match fit. Tom Lawrence scored that goal against Kilmarnock last week. That was fine, but that's what Tom Lawrence should still be doing coming on at that time in the game. But I was quite happy for Tom Lawrence to come on instead of Cantwell today, because that's one of the players I'm sick of. That's one of the players I'm upset with. Tav, Lundstrom, I'll stick by them, but Todd Cantwell's starting to piss me off. So it's like I say, I'm just as bad as everybody else. And it didn't work with Tom Lawrence either, but that was the changes. 2 changes to the lineup against Kilmarnock, and the mistake straight away within the first minute. What we've been doing, maybe 6 of the last 8 games. I actually get to the point I was timing it today, and it was exactly on the minute mark. It was as 59 changed to 1-0-0. As 59 became 60 seconds in the game, we end up again. We always take centre. I think 9 times out of 10 we've taken centre when we do these things. We've actually taken kick off, and then we're conceding a chance. This time it was John Souttar kind of volleying, a knee-type volley of the ball right into the bottom corner. It was going until Jack Butland got there and a point-blank save to start his bid to be man of the match in a team that doesn't deserve to have a man of the match award. Maybe challenged by Dujon Sterling for that title, but that was it. Celtic were absolutely pounding us first 20 minutes or so, and it's always been the same when you go to Parkhead. It's a kind of a hailstorm. A green and white haze, just rapidly running at you, always has been, and it's never been about Rangers doing anything particularly good in that period. It's just about absorbing it and just getting the ball up the park somehow, having a shot for distance, just doing something to let them know that you're not going to be completely overwhelmed, and you start to get a foothold. Celtic should have had the ball in the net 2 or 3 times. The finishing was terrible, but we're getting away with it. Jack Butland pulled off a cracking save at one point, world-class save, really. We had Fabio Silva, who was awful in many ways, but our best player in many ways as well. That first half kind of summed up the Rangers' plight. He had cuts in from the left-hand side, has a shot across the face of the goal, goes past the far post, and you think that's a shit shot, but at least you're getting in there and having a shot. And then there's that incident where another ball. The plan seemed to be sit on them at the back. Lawrence just sits on McGregor, and we're going to hassle them as they try to pass the ball. We're not going to let them settle down at the back. And we were doing that quite well at times. We're trying to hit the back post, and we do get the ball, long balls to the back post. The Rangers Clement has obviously looked at Celtic in depth and worked out a way we could get to them, but there was a great risk involved to try and compensate for the fact that our squad's weak as anything. And we're freeing up a lot of space in the midfield, which is just letting Celtic have the ball outside our box and pick and choose when they're going to play it into the box, kind of suicidal. But got to about the 25-minute mark, and suddenly it went a bit quiet for Celtic. And I'm not saying we dominated the game at that point. We didn't take control of the game, but it went a bit quiet from their point of view. We were starting to get a bit more of the ball, and you're thinking this could be okay. And then I'm kind of judging people today on social media and in various chats and that I've been in. If they're blaming James Tavernier for his part in the second goal we lost to Celtic today, that's fine, but he's getting blamed for the first part. He's getting blamed for, when you're blaming him for the first goal as well, that's trying to simplify what is obviously a very complex thing. What's at the heart of Rangers being just no good enough? It's James Tavernier. I want it to be that. The guy who scores more goals than anybody else for us, he's the problem. It's no that, and he wasn't to blame. I've seen a few folks saying this for the first goal we lost today. He did lose the ball, and I know in modern football, if you lose the ball deep in the opposition half, that can still be you culpable for the goal that then against you then results from that. But that wasn't the case today. It's a bad ball, and cutting the ball across the midfield and not making the pass is poor. But he's kind of on the halfway line, and Celtic then play the ball backwards, and it's like a minute later they score the goal. By that point, Tav's comfortably back where he should be defending, and Celtic have worked the ball through about 14 different Rangers players down the left-hand side. Tom Lawrence supposed to be sitting on McGregor. He turned McGregor into Jimmy Johnston at that point. He just lets him, work his magic down the wing. Borna's thrown a flailing leg in there. There's no art to it at all, no intent. And then the ball gets cut back for O'Reilly, who has nobody anywhere near him. He could have a whole stadium to himself, the way we were trying to mark him on that left-hand side today. So he gets to pick his spot, and he puts it in the bottom corner for the edge of the box. and that's crap. Flair comes onto the park, plays kind of held up, but Celtic basically score straight away from kick-off again. And this time we put the ball in the back of the net, and Tav is to blame for not picking up Maeda. Or not getting tight enough for him. He just jockeys him. Not what Tav does. He's so busy concentrated on going forward that he can't defend at times, and he just kind of jockeys. But even then, the ball that Maeda pulls back, if a Celtic player's first onto that, terrible. And I think that's what Lundstrom's trying to avoid. But he gets first onto it and just strokes the ball into the bottom corner, the bottom faraway corner. Just an own goal of own goals, and it's disaster. 2-0 down. We haven't touched the ball between the two goals, I don't think. Also, except if John Lundstrom's touched it. This is an absolute disaster. It's a calamity. Third time this season we'll be 2-0 down to Celtic, and we score a goal 2 minutes later. Dessers, who never does anything in Old Firm games. I think this might be the only touch he got the whole game. It's certainly the only shot we had on target for the entire game. But he scores. Dujon Sterling does fantastic at the back post, and nods it across, wins a header, nods it right across, and Dessers, man on the spot, like a striker. He's never going to score. He's never going to score against Celtic. He doesn't need dates, not that kind of player. Well, he did. He scored against Celtic, so shut up. Let's have that anyway. He didn't touch the ball at any other point in the game, I don't think, and he's far too slow. I think his physicality, it kind of maybe draws in the Celtic centre halves. It keeps them occupied. It gives them something they've got to look for. It's no good enough. It's no enough. Certainly with the squad being as weak as it is. But you go to his goal and you're thinking, this is right. Okay, we've shut them up. It went very quiet, very, very quiet for about 2 seconds until John Lundstrom decided he'd had enough of being told that he doesn't get involved in Old Firm games. He doesn't put himself about enough. And there was a ball just sitting there. I think it's Alistair Johnston, was it, the Canadian fella that plays for Celtic? And it's one of those ones, if he hadn't gone for it, it'd be Lundstrom just not crapping out again. So he did go for it, and it was terrible. And it was a straight red all day of the week. For some reason, Willie Collum had to go to VAR, but it was an ankle breaker. Didn't he actually? And he couldn't even break the guy's ankle, so it was just no use at all. He's straight red card just in the stroke of half time. Totally sold the jerseys. We come out in the second half, and it's got even worse in the space of the half-time break because we're a centre-half down. It's the fit centre-half. He's gone off injured. John Souttar is off. Connor Goldson's history. Leon Balogun's history. So we've got Ben Davies, who's played 45 minutes of football. He's now played 90, but the 45 was just played in the first half. He's played 90 minutes of football for the first team in 6 months. He's the only working centre-half we've got in there. Dujon Sterling goes in and joins him. It does great, but for the first quarter of an hour of that second half, I'm thinking just keep it down to 5 or 6. Let's not let Celtic beat their 7-1 record against us. It looked like they could score it well. The goal ruled out for offside. Then they got a penalty, soft as anything. I'm not really sure about that one at all. But they get the penalty, and O'Reilly, it's a terrible penalty. But Jack Butland has got a save. He's got a save against Celtic in the Old Firm under his belt. Maybe that's enough for him to piss off in the summer and tell all his pals at Newcastle or wherever it is he ends up that, yeah, he's done. He's done the Old Firm thing. I would hope not. Hopefully it's just the start of him becoming the next peak Alan McGregor or peak Andy Gorham. But he's got a save, and then this is where it becomes. This is where the memes and the stuff I'm reacting to online, I have to confess that I was talking today about hot takes. Oh, here we come. Hot takes incoming was a line I used on social media today. Against other Rangers supporters, and that's just a line I've seen. That's not original. I'm not the person that invented the phrase hot takes incoming or the term hot takes. I've totally copied that. So the boy got in touch with me today and said that line about, and I apologise to him, I can't remember his name, and it's been a tumultuous kind of day, and he said the whole thing about we've seen this movie before. Seen this movie so many times before. So I'm not having a go at him because I'm doing exactly the same thing, just repeating a line that I've heard for other Rangers supporters. But that's what it's a line you hear a lot. We've seen this same movie before. And we've seen this exact same movie before of being 2-0 down to Celtic at Parkhead. And then we get a man sent off, and then it's 2-1. And then Celtic look like they can score at will. And then they look like they can't shoot at all on target, and then maybe with 20 minutes to go, they look like they can't get out their own half, and then with 10 minutes to go, it looks like they can't get out their own box, and then with 5 minutes to go, it looks like they can't pass to each other, and then as it gets into injury time, it looks like they've never seen a football before in their life, and you think if this game just lasted 30 more seconds, we could equalise with 10 men, it'd be really embarrassing, and that would expose Rodgers for the kind of schmooze and fraud that he actually is, but it didn't. and they got it over the line, and that's what it's all about, getting it over the line. Celtic did, and we didn't. But you've seen that exact same movie before. The last time Philippe Clement took us to Parkhead, and his first two Old Firm games at Parkhead have gone exactly the same as you have seen that movie before. You saw that movie before when Steven Gerrard first came to Rangers, his first season as Rangers manager. First two league games at Parkhead for him, we lost them by a single goal. So you've seen that exact same movie before. The first one was 1-0. We'd been to Bashkortostan, we'd been to Asia, basically, against Ufa, our 8th European game of the season already. I think it was August. And we drew one each with 9 men. We went down to 9 men on the other side of the world. But this was a Thursday night, and we're at Parkhead practically Sunday morning. We lose 1-0, and he was a shite bag. His tactics were terrible. He'd copped out. No, Steven Gerrard, who's known for his cowardice. Known for not liking a battle. He'd sold the jerseys. This is Rangers fans. This was the reaction on Rangers Twitter at that point. And I'm saying it's a 4-goal swing though. The last time we'd been to Parkhead, just a few months previously, we'd get tanked 5-0. And they'd put 5 passes at Ibrox, I think, the game before that. I think, it's a massive improvement. No, not good enough. We don't want to see improvement. We don't want to see grades. We don't want to see stagnated improvement. We don't want to see stages. We don't want to see you're working. We just want to see the final sum, which is Rangers are at the top and they're winning all the time and we're the best. Don't want to, get there. Just want to be there. We lose the other game at Parkhead that season by a single goal. Their sendings off. Ryan Kent has that Superman style punch. It wasn't really, didn't really connect. It was just diving by Scott Brown, but iconic moment. In between times, we beat Celtic at Ibrox under Gerrard. We beat Celtic at Ibrox for the first time in years in the league, and we do it again that season at Ibrox. The following season, we beat them at Parkhead for the first time in years. The season after that, we win the league. Is Clement going to take 3 seasons to win the league? Maybe, because we're already through one of them. I'd be okay with that. We have seen this movie before. We've seen this exact same movie before. Walter Smith, his first 2 games against Celtic at Parkhead in his first full season of his second coming, they were played very close together, those 2 games at Parkhead, and again it's another season where Rangers have got much further in Europe than Celtic, and Celtic benefiting the domestic front, but we lost both of them by a single goal, and Celtic win the league at the death, as they're going to do this time, but we win the League Cup and the Scottish Cup, as we can still do this season. And the following season, we win the first of 3 successive league titles. Is Clement going to win 3 league titles in the trot? Well, I hope so, because we've seen this movie before. What we haven't seen, but what I think people are including in that phrase when they say that, is us being 3-0 down at half-time twice, as Gio was against Hans Postecoglou's Celtic. That's no happening. That's not that movie. Not that movie at all. Also in that run of not winning at Parkhead, you've got the draw under Gio at Parkhead, where Fashion Sakala equalises, and should really have put us 2-1 up, and we could have won that game quite easily to go on and win the league probably from that point, or certainly take it to the last day. It didn't go much shorter than that anyway, but we got to a European final and that kind of thing. But this isn't the same thing. You're not seeing that movie today. You're not seeing Alfredo Morelos equalising at an empty Parkhead during the COVID season because we already won the league. And we just looked like we're just trying to get through this. Can we just get this done in an hour, because we want to get the rest of the league season done unbeaten? We could have beaten them easily that day. We didn't, but we'd already won the title, and it was the only time they didn't lose to us in 5 games that season. So you're not seeing this movie as many times as we're trying to make out. And I think we end up today, we're doing that thing where we're pressuring them, and we're definitely controlling the game, and Celtic are falling to pieces, and it's more frustrating because you see how bad Celtic actually are, and that our decimated squad is actually fitter than theirs, their full squad, in many ways, when it comes to what Celtic do in the early stages of these games. It's and us not being at the races in the early stages of these games, it's what's costing us. There's definitely little patterns there that we're going to hopefully improve on when the manager gets a summer to himself, at his own transfers and his own pre-season. And I know my good friend, a colleague on Gersnet, Brian Archer, put a tweet out there today, which I couldn't but agree with, where he said we're in the same situation as we were last year. We're hoping that the manager's going to do it. He's going to get his own transfer budget. It's going to be much better next season. We were saying that under Beale last year, and I think Clement is a much better manager than Beale. He's already won a trophy for a start, but it's a point that's absolutely bang on. You can't argue with Brian, because we're in that situation, and that is worrying. But I do feel we're going to be okay. under Clement. But there's no guarantee that, because Celtic now get straight into the Champions League on the back of our graft, obviously. But they get straight into the Champions League, benefiting for the coefficient. They'll get that money. Hopefully we can get in there. We need to get in there after them through the qualifying. If we possibly can, it's going to be really vital, but that's going to tire us again at the beginning of the season and that bloody blah. But things don't really go on the same way forever. Look, I usually try and get rid of the Celtic fans, don't I? I've been trying to get rid of Rangers fans at the beginning of this pod, by being positive about Rangers. That's the, straight away, there's boys out there don't want to hear it. There's guys and girls out there who do not want to hear as fellow Rangers fan being positive in any way about Rangers just now. And I understand that. Like I say, I get people need to get it out of their system. It's something that really affects us deeply in life, the football. So that's fair dues. I might as well lay my cards on the table so you don't have to waste your time with that early doors. But normally what I do, and it's becoming a thing, this is, we'll be doing the post-match reaction pods for about 2 years now, 2.5 seasons or something, certainly regular for the last 2 seasons, and I've yet to do one after a meaningful victory over Celtic. So I've got used to this thing where I try and ramble and rave more than usual at the beginning of the pod. That's why it's so painfully long. To get rid of the visitors that we don't usually get. And what I would do normally, I've got such an opportunity just now, because there's the one thing I would talk about almost as willingly as talking about Rangers is my holidays. And somebody talking about their holidays is the most boring thing in the world. And I've mentioned it to you before, I was in Tennessee last month. I was over there for 10, 11 days. Absolutely phenomenal. And the last day of that holiday, we're sitting in an old style porch, and there's a rocking chair beside me, and there's nobody in it, and it's rocking away, but I'm sitting on the bench, and the two of us are. The Grand Ole Opry is just like a 20-minute walk away. We're in that area of Nashville. The Grand Ole Opry's out of town, so we had the car, we'd driven all over Tennessee, we'd been into North Carolina, and then we just timed it so the last day we were going to go, before we handed the car back in at the airport, because the flight was at like 9 o'clock at night, we're going to just go to the Grand Ole Opry that day. So we take the car, we'd use that when we had the car, and we get a motel in this Opryville, this area, whenever the Grand Ole Opry, where everybody goes and stays, or the bus parties and stuff, or the bus tours and that. It's all motels, all Americana, neon. There was a bit of wet in the ground, as it was been a bit of rain, so the neon's reflecting on the strip mall right next to us, and the class that you see. Those Jack Reacher would go and stay there while he's thinking about who he's going to off next. Totally desolate. There's a honky tonk in the corner. There's a motel along one side, shops on the other side. There's a honky tonk right in the corner. It's the neons coming out, the music's coming out. There's music's everywhere, but the music we hear is the music in this porch. And I'd just been to the Dukes of Hazzard Museum. We'd been to the Willie Nelson Museum, just next to it. And behind me, there's the latticed windows with the gingham curtains, and inside it's the gingham tablecloth where we'd just been sitting at that table, and it's got the oil lamp on it, like Paladin and Glenn Michael's Cavalcade, the old style oil lamp, and we just had beef with biscuits and gravy. No biscuits that you get biscuits here, but the biscuits and gravy you hear about when you're watching, you're watching all these things, all these movies and all that, American programs when you're a kid, and you think, one day I'm going to have biscuits and gravy. We did, and it was Grandma's old style lemonade, real lemonade, homemade stuff, fantastic. We just did that, and the power of that meal, we're sitting outside basking in it, and this music comes on, and it's a song. Country and Western's vicious, it's viciously sentimental, just gets you there straight away. It's the last night of our holidays, feeling a bit emotional anyway, bang, on comes this song. Never heard it before in my life. You know I'm a terrible singer, but it's you think I'm talking crazy, like in a different language you might not understand. Oh, but that's alright. That's just the kind of life that made me who I am. I'm missing out the musicality of it. I'm taking my mind on a visit back in time 'cause I miss it. To know and love it like I loved it, you need to have lived it. And man, I lived it. And in comes the slide guitar. And oh, that's amazing. The song's just so, and the tears are rolling down my cheeks. It's just, oh God. And we get back to our motel. Stayed in a motel. Lived the ambition, the ambition of a lifetime. Drove to a motel in the States, driving up the I-24 that day. It's been fantastic. We drove up to Chattanooga that day. Chattanooga up to Nashville, completing the loop in Tennessee. And in the hotel. Let's get that in a motel room. Let's get that. I'll look up on YouTube, cast it up on the telly. I want to hear that song again. And listen to the lyrics a bit closer this time. My wife's saying, he's Blake Shelton. He's married to Gwen Stefani. Gwen Stefani, if you'd no doubt. Oh, God, that's his third wife. Oh, his third wife. No, that means one of the guys out there all night prowling around, dedicated. And I mean, he looks kind of young. I looked him up. He's like 7 years younger than me. But this song he sings about how hard his life was, like so hard that you won't understand it. You'll think he's talking crazy. It's like a different language. In one of the lyrics, he just goes, "I ain't making this up. I ain't making it. What you know making up, mate? I'm listening harder." And he's talking about his dad used to drive. He drove an old Ford pickup into the ground. We didn't have a car. I didn't have a car. My mum and dad didn't have a car when we were growing up. No, my dad had his Watts van, but he'd get sacked if he get caught driving me and my sister to school in it, which he did every now and then. But that was. We didn't have a car when we were growing up, and then he's talking about his uncle used to rub tobacco on his arms, on wasp stings. I used to get a cold key put down my back of a nosebleed. That was a thing I used to remember. Did you ever get that? An old wives' tale, but it used to happen. That was get the cold key down your back, son, your nose bleeding, you're a kid, and he's like, the shock would kind of cauterise. I think that was the idea. It never worked. He's like, used to drink out the hose. But somehow we survived. Take that. Health and safety is saying, because health and safety is woke and PC in his country. The hard life and what have you. I'm thinking, we used to drink out the burn. We just go down to the burn and drink out the burn that we'd pissed in upstream. And then you'd had a hard day, on a stick, on a bit of rope, swinging back and forth the end of a tree off a cliff edge almost. Kids probably still doing that today in Scotland, but yeah, you get a bit thirsty, go and drink out the burn. It's also the idea that this guy would have had a hard life was just completely nonsense. He's catastrophising and he's romanticising it so he can make out that he's real, he's country, and I think that's what's happening just now. We have a lot of Rangers support. We've got a terrible record at Parkhead. We never won. I knew we weren't going to win there because we always get beat there. We haven't beat Celtic 2 years, and it's terrible. We haven't beat them in a meaningful game in 2 years. That is terrible. Welsh, or Brian Walsh, or whatever he's called, the centre half scores his own goal for the Bassey cross at hand in the Scottish Cup semi-final extra time in 2022. We haven't beat them in the league, in a meaningful game in the league, since Hallander. That was the big header Hallander scores against them, beating Ange Postecoglou's Celtic. His first Old Firm game, 1-0 at Ibrox. What was that? That's kind of August, September 2021. So that's like 2.5 years ago? 2.5 years? Aye. And then you get they haven't beat them at Parkhead since Connor Golson scored the 2 goals against them. What was that? That was 2020, wasn't it? That was October kind of 2020. That's 3.5 years ago. So that's terrible. We haven't beaten. We hadn't won the League Cup in 13 years. We won that this season. We hadn't beat a Spanish team in Spain in European competition ever. 70 years almost of being in Europe. We rectified that this season under this manager. The idea we're not supposed to go that length of time without beating Celtic. Well, it's not supposed to be centre halves that score the winners in all the games. It's supposed to be strikers. But it's just, it doesn't work out smoothly. The only smooth season there's ever been, the only smooth time was the 1890 in British top flight football, was when Rangers won the 1898-99 league title. Winning every single game, 100% record. And that was only 18 league games. And we lost the Scottish Cup final to a Celtic team that we'd humped twice, home and away, in that league campaign. So everybody was probably raging about that back then as well. The same as they were raging when St Mirren and St Johnstone put us out of 2 cups during 55 season. Everybody's got to go, sack a lot of them, even though they're putting in one of the greatest seasons in Rangers' entire history. But that's this idea. This is a disaster. We've got to the point where we don't know what to do anymore. It's frustrating. It's annoying. It's just no good enough. But the fucking reasons are there. As far as I'm concerned, the reasons are really apparent. Nobody wants to talk about 3 trophies in 13 years. That's what it's been. That's not good enough for Rangers. Maybe it'll be 4 trophies. Let's be positive. 4 trophies in 13 seasons. And what you comparing that to? Well, let's say it's the previous 13 seasons, where we won 20 trophies. From 2011 backwards. 1998, we won 20 trophies in that period, 20 major trophies. So that's absolutely, you're damn right. That's so let's just, where does it start going wrong? Around about 2011, 2012. What kind of happened there? What could possibly have happened at that time that made everyone go, we don't want to talk about that. We don't want to talk. But that, because that's excuses. That's fine. So let's talk about what's happening in the immediate term. The injuries. Why did we lose at Ross County? Because it was one injury too many. Diamandi couldn't play that game. The whole form fell off a cliff. Brilliant in February, and that was us carrying the Sema injury, or Sema's absence for various reasons at that point in time. But then by the time we get to March, we've lost Cortez as well. Then we're losing Yilmaz. Yeah, I think the game against Motherwell at Ibrox, we were concentrating maybe too much on the Benfica game that was coming up. Maybe we did get too cocky that game. That's a muck-up, for want of a better expression, right there. And being 2 goals down to Celtic at Ibrox is kind of inexcusable as well in that game. But even then, you're starting to carry the injuries. And we lose Sema, we lose Cortez, and you're losing Yilmaz, and then Matondo, he's coming in and out the team. You get Matondo and Sema scored 2 or 3 goals against Celtic when we played them at Ibrox, and even in that draw that we weren't happy with. The 2 of them are totally unavailable today. That's why you're having to play Dujon Sterling out in the right hand side. The injuries are unbeatable, and we go to Ross County and it's just one injury too many, and suddenly the guys, the same old faces, the people that are here all the time, that are making like 50 odd appearances that we make now, like the Dessers, Tavernier, Lundstrom, Goldson at that point in time, they can't carry it anymore, and we have a terrible performance. We lose 3 goals. We go to Dens Park, Matondo still isn't available, and we find out the week later, Balogun's back in the team. And we play so much better against Hearts at Hampden in the Scottish Cup semi-final. We get Sema on for 15 minutes. That just sets the tone just enough for us to kind of carry that game quite confidently. But we find out that the manager wanted to put Balogun in against Dundee at Dens Park, but he couldn't because Balogun was sick. So Golson has to get played, so the emphasis has to be just clear the lines whatever way you can. Let's not worry about what happens up front. Hopefully we'll get a goal out of something. And we didn't, because it's just, you could see we're frantic that night. We're scared to play. We're almost kind of carrying Connor Golson in many ways to try and recover from the shock of losing 3 goals the previous Sunday. We don't have Diamandi to give us that bit more composure. He comes in that Scottish Cup semi-final as well, and the difference is night and day. But we're losing Sema again, we're losing Matondo again. There's too many injuries. Then we go a man down the day as well, but end up playing better, which is totally weird. But to me, it's really apparent what's been happening with the squad this season. But I was getting angry because the whole week in the build up to this game, I was reading how Rangers were crap and Celtic were brilliant, and we were doing. To me, we were matching the past 3 weekends. We have matched or bettered Celtic's margin of score. Anyway, margin of victory. They beat Hearts 3-0 at home. They're brilliant. We beat Kilmarnock 4-1 at home the next day. We're crap. They had a man sent off. We got the guy sent off through our forward play. We have. The weekend before that, we win 2-1 at St Mirren. They win 2-1 at Dundee. That's there's nothing between the teams. If anything, St Mirren are better. The weekend before that, this whole thing with the Scottish Cup semi-final, where we're not handily against Hearts, but we beat them quite comfortably in the end up. Quite an easy day, a straightforward day. Celtic the previous day went to penalties again. Hearts have beaten Celtic home and away more than we can, but they're a decent team. Whereas the previous day, we're watching Celtic going to penalties against Aberdeen in the Scottish Cup semi-final, but somehow they're better against an Aberdeen side that can't get the bottom 6 of 15 different management teams this season. They can't get rid of them, and the only reason they end up winning, their goalkeeper misses a penalty kick because he's getting so cocky, and the only reason they end up winning that penalty kick is because the shootout, because the Aberdeen goalkeeper gets injured on his goal line and has to get treatment in the goals, preventing his colleague taking a quick penalty. He's due to take a penalty next, and he's getting more and more nervous. And but that was, Rangers fans are telling me, but we knew Celtic were going to get it over the line and that we'd struggle. We didn't struggle compared to. I'd been reading all this crap all week and hearing it, and BBC and everybody, Sky. It's just no, patently no true. Actually doing better with far less resources. So I do trust the manager going forward. It's going to be an interesting couple of days. Tomorrow night, 9:30, or tonight, by the time you're watching this, probably at 9:30 live on the YouTube channel. It's going to be Craig, Grant and David. Good luck to them. Hopefully they can do it a bit more concisely than I've been doing it. This has become my sign-off in these podcasts. It's been a long, hard season, folks, and it's been a terrible day. But I think success has made a failure of our home. That's a more honest song when it comes to reflecting what the problem's been with Rangers. I if we could share an evening now and then, European football makes us feel zen, but we're not. We don't want to know about Europe. We don't want to know. Our captain made excuses about the pressure being off us in Europe. That's a terrible thing to say. I don't care how they do it. Get it done. We're getting to the point where we're actually discounting successes. We're discounting any improvements because we just want it all and we want it now. I've been through all this before. Through those 9 years when I first started, the 9 years when they won the league between 78 and soon as coming in 87, and then suddenly we did 20, 30,000 more kind of regulars, and I started hearing things about, I'm not interested in winning 9 in a row. What? I'm not, if we're not doing anything in Europe, and then we want to do something in Europe as well as domestically, then abandon Europe, just concentrate on beating Celtic, and that's not how it works. You've got to have the whole, and then let's do it all, but do it in the cheap, and why did David want to do the EBTs thing? You've got to get a grip. Celtic won one league title between 1938 and 1966. 28 years. I know we had. I'm counting the Second World War. I know the league titles in that era didn't count quite rightly during the war, but they didn't win any of the ones either. And they won the double in '54, and their captain was Jock Stein, and he was their manager when they next won the league in '66, and then they won 9 in a row in the European Cup straight after that. So, let's take Celtic as our inspiration today of all days, and know that if you just hang in there, just get to a point where you bear it rather than lashing out at the team. Because I definitely think there's been times in our history where we've been so harsh for stuff that doesn't deserve harshness. Berwick 66, various things, that it's ended up coming back to bite us in the arse, and we've set ourselves back. I don't think this is the time to do that, but then I never do. I'm a happy clapper. I'm part of the problem. We're all part of the problem today. You always are when we lose to Celtic. No words of consolation, folks. Just have at it.